Hey, welcome back. My name is Dino. This mini lecture is on flipped classroom. Its activities for the flipped classroom. It's the second part of a multi-part series. So as you can guess from the title, the focus of this video is various activities to use for if you are choosing to have a flipped classroom. These might be appropriate. One is brainstorming. I'm sure many of you use this already. For those of you who haven't, or unfamiliar with this concept, in terms of description, students generate ideas which you record on the blackboard, overhead, smartboard, etc. In terms of formal instructions, you might want to provide this type of student prompt. When beginning a new topic that you're to brainstorm about, you might begin by saying, tell me everything you know about X, Y, or Z. So that's a really broad student prompt for the entire class. Categorization can help. Here you may decide to put the students' comments into categories, or you might ask students to suggest categories if they are familiar with the topic you're brainstorming about, and then comment on the accuracy and relative importance of the array of facts, impressions, and interpretations that are then suggested. This is an important note about critiquing. Critique in general with respect to brainstorming. Quote, you want to acknowledge every offering that are offered by students in the brainstorming by writing it down and save any critiquing until after the idea generation time is over. Otherwise, you can sort of stop or stem or slow the array of ideas that are shared among your class. Sort of on a sort of a similar, very general theme is the idea of a pro and con grid. In terms of description, a pro and con grid, quote, lists advantages and disadvantages of any issue. Advantages, we be pro. Disadvantages, con. You're welcome. The rationale for it, why you would do this, it helps students develop analytical and evaluative skills. You need to analyze and evaluate to tell whether something's a positive, a pro, or a negative, a con. It also, quote, forces students to go beyond their initial reaction, search for at least two sides to the issue, and weigh the value of completing claims. In this day and age of pretty sort of divided social sphere, social public sphere, we want to make sure we explore various sides of an issue to help people develop analytical and evaluative appreciation of various arguments, and then use evidence and rationality to come to a conclusion based on it. Next is the idea of problem solving. In terms of instructions for problem solving, you might want to start with a starter. This would be a question, a paradox, an enigma, or a compelling unfinished human story that will help to prompt student interest. Demonstrations can be useful, especially if it's really abstract or complicated. Quote, this may, quote, require a scientific demonstration. If you're in a science class, a mathematical proof for a math class, an economic model for an economics class, or a business class, the outcome of a novel's plot for an English class, or a historical narrative for a history class. The problem that you suggest is really important. Quote, refer to the problem throughout the lecture, inviting students to fill in imaginative spaces in the story or model with their own solutions. That way you don't kind of lose sight of what the actual original problem is. Trying to posit answers is really important. Students, quote, fill in their successive answers passively, or the instructor elicits responses recorded on the board and discussed. So you don't want to do problem solving just for the sake of problem solving. In an abstract sense, you want to try to provide answers. In terms of problem solving, here are some possible instructor questions that can help start the process. What do you think will happen? Also, which solution, outcome, or explanation makes the most sense to you? Again, this can sort of help to frame your discussion. Next is role playing. In terms of description of what role playing is, the idea of it is, here, quote, students are asked to act out a part. So you play a role in some scenario. The rationale why you'd want to use role playing is that students, quote, get a better idea of the concepts and theories being discussed by embodying the various parts of the roles you're playing. It can help use their empathy and their lived experience, and they can bring that to the fore. There can be a broad range of role-playing scenarios. Exercises can range from the simple to the complex, and I think depending on the age of your students or their aptitude to doing act outs, like you might find out that since you have very theatrical students who are good at empathizing and playing different roles, they can be very complex. If not, you might want to start off more simply, or start with simple at the beginning of a semester or a year, and then build to more complexity as time passes. Finally, we're going to do form theater. What is a form theater? It quotes this is where you quote depict a situation and then have students enter into the sketch to act out possible solutions. So it's kind of like a role play, but more formal. Here's an example of a sketch. Quote, if students were watching a sketch on an escalating interaction between a nurse and a patient, this would be in a nursing program or a medical school program. Have students brainstorm possible suggestions for how to de-escalate the situation. So that can sort of help make the interaction between those who are participating in the forum theater and those watching it a little bit more intense and more useful. Quote, then ask for volunteers to try and act out the updated scene, so you can sort of see it before and after, and that ideally will make the forum theater a bit more lively, dynamic, improvisational, and ultimately engaging and a better learning scenario for students. That was Flip Classroom Activities Part 2, the second part of a multi-part series. Thanks for watching. My name is Dino. Please feel free to like this video. Please feel free to comment on it. Do you use brainstorming? Is it useful? Have you used pro and con grid? How about problem solving, role playing, form theater? Which of these do you think would be useful for a flipped classroom? Which ones do you think might not? Do you have additional flipped classroom activities that might be useful for this for people in the community watching these videos? Finally, if you like this type of video, please feel free to subscribe to this channel for similar types of content. As always, thanks for watching.